Opinions Unqualified.
Okay, so this is Opinions Unqualified, and talking about unqualified opinions, there is no opinion less qualified than the opinions of our special guest that'll be on today's show. Would you agree, Sam?
I couldn't agree any more with you, Nixy. I mean, it's 1 in a million, 1 in 8 billion, or whatever, how many people there are in the world. We've got a very special guest. He's many achievements, superstar basketballer, superstar footy player. I think Australia might have already contacted him for cricket, but we won't get into that too much at the moment. I'll let Nixy keep on going with the introduction because I don't want to talk it up too much.
Yeah, so he's tall, he's handsome, he's funny, he's intelligent, he's super athletic, and you know what? His opinions don't matter one little bit. He's 10 years old. It's Klein. Welcome, Klein. How are you feeling today?
Good.
Good. Happy to be here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off with the questions for Klein, and I just want to have a little insight and see what Klein thinks about the world and what's going on right now.
That's a very hard question. I think that it's hard staying home, and all the kids out there, stay in there.
Yeah. So Klein is a 10-year-old young man. If you were, because you know about this podcast, is this your favourite podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Now, if you were to do an introduction song for this podcast, how would it go?
Bum ba-dum bum bum. Opinions Unqualified.
That's good. What do you think, Sam?
I think we might. Can we get a copyright on that? And we'll. I think that might be our new intro because Nixie's voice is not that good, and my creativity is lacking as well at the same time. Nixie, I think you've got a pretty good question here actually for Klein that you said before.
Yep. So, Klein, you're a bit of a basketball stud. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
So, if you were in a situation, firstly, and you were to play one-on-one against Michael Jordan, all right, how many points would you score? And is there any possibility you'd win?
There is. What's it first to?
Well, I think first to 11. I think that's a fair score. I think that's reasonable. 1 point per score.
I'll score 11.
You'd score 11.
Game over.
Confidence.
Is that LeVar Ball that we're talking to here?
Yeah, I feel like that. I do have another question, which I think is vitally important, particularly to our older viewers, if you want to stay hip and cool and with the times. What is the best TV show ever made?
Maybe The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay. Oh, see. All right. Why?
It's a good family show.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And what are some of the things that draw you to watching it?
It's quite funny, and it's about a family that don't really know. Well, a cousin comes into the family, and they don't really know them that well because they're from a different country.
Yeah.
And they've got completely different attitudes.
All right, so I reckon before we move on to Sam's next question, we'll do a little Fresh Prince of Bel-Air quiz.
All right, I've got my first question.
All right, you ready to fire away?
I've got two, but we'll go with the first one, which is pretty obvious. Do you know who Will Smith is?
Will Smith?
Can you tell me anything about Will Smith?
He's an actor?
Have you heard any of Will Smith's songs?
No.
Well, we need to educate you. All right, that's fair enough. Is that you?
That was my two. Yeah, that was my two kind of questions there.
All right, so just strictly relating to the show, who's a better dancer between Will and Carlton?
Will?
Will, you think, and why?
Because Carlton doesn't know how to dance properly.
Oh,
That's harsh.
I thought the Carlton, isn't that made a bit of fame on all the video games and that kind of stuff? I think the Carlton made it on Fortnite, I think. I don't see any Will Smith's dance moves on Fortnite.
So Ashley is at an interesting age in the show. Do you find her pretty?
No.
Brutal. That's why you get 10-year-olds on. Brutal. Yeah. All right. So, do you have any jokes?
Not right now.
Not right now.
You
All right.
got one?
You could think about it. Think about a joke for me. I know you got a couple of beauties in there. Yep.
Why did the chicken go to KFC?
Why?
To follow its elders.
That's
brutality.
rough.
Brutality.
That is rough. What's your favourite song right now as a 10-year-old?
Old Town Road.
Can you give us a little Old Town Road demo?
Gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
Awesome. Love it.
I'm slightly not angry, just disappointed that Coach Nix didn't get a mention in the favourite song there. Nixy?
Yeah, me too, actually.
Klein? I thought, that last song, what was the name of that last song?
Animalistic
Fantasy. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's a banger. Yeah. So, you like that one, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you know any of those lyrics? When I'm singing it, you sing it, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. So, you're a football fan?
Yep.
All right. So, who's your favourite player?
Nathan Fife.
Nathan Fife. And why is Nathan Fife your favourite player?
Because he's a good player and he won the Brownlow a couple of times.
Yeah, that's fair. What makes him a good player, do you think?
His ability to mark the ball and his stamina.
Yeah. What do you think's more important as a 10-year-old? Stamina or length?
Probably stamina.
Yep.
Stamina. All right, here's my question. Are Brownlows or wins more important?
Wins.
Fair.
And what was your feeling when Lockie Neal went to Brisbane? So you're a big Lockie Neal fan, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yep. So what was your feeling when he went to Brisbane?
Sad.
Sad? Yeah. Were you more upset that he was awesome at Brisbane or that he left?
That he left.
That he left. All right, so you're happy for him that he was awesome at Brisbane. Okay. I think that's a good attitude.
All right, well, let's get away from the football talk because that's not my area of expertise. Let's go to school. What's your favourite subject?
Sport.
All right, you can't choose sport. What's your favourite subject?
Maths.
Maths, nice. What's your least favourite subject?
Science, maybe?
Science. Why science?
Well, sometimes you just do writing and you don't really learn much.
Oh,
Okay. So you're not learning when you're writing?
Well, you learn when you're writing, but you don't really learn the work that you're doing sometimes.
Oh, so you're just sort of copying.
Yeah.
Oh.
so the delivery of the teaching.
Yep.
So that's something that I need to work on then.
Yep.
When I get out there into the field, I guess. All right, here's another question for you. You've got the day, free day, pupil free day. You're out and about. No, none of this madness that's going on right now. Are you going to the beach or are you going to the mountains or the hills here? Because we don't have mountains.
Hills, I guess,
Hills, yeah, fair enough.
because you got grass there.
Yep. Now, I remember a time when you tried Sam's electronic skateboard.
Yeah.
Is that something you want to do again?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. What happened last time?
Lost control of it.
So now that I've got a new board that instead of hitting about 18 kilometers an hour, I've got a board that reaches about 45 kilometers an hour. Does that change your mindset at all?
No. Just probably approach it a little less fast.
No fear. I like it. It's funny though. Well, it's not really funny, but it's a good point there, I think, is how 10-year-olds don't really have much fear, Nixie. You know, and as you get older, that fear kind of is able to creep in a little bit more, I think. When you think back to the times when you were younger, when I was younger, to now, it's kind of weird how the world and people, humans, evolve that way.
Yeah, and then you can really allow that fear to take control sometimes and not allow you to go out and experience maybe some of the things that you would have when you were younger. So probably the advice there, the stories there, is just to keep that 10-year-old inside there and active and attack life with vigour. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I've got another question in closing. What advice would you give adults today? As a 10-year-old, what advice would you give adults to make the world better?
Right now, probably take a chance to try something that you really like, but you haven't had the time to do because you've got work.
That's awesome. I like that. That's some great advice right there.
It is. Well, thank you very much for being on our pod. Appreciate it. Would you like to come back at another time?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, peace out, homie.
Peace out.
And that was Klein. I mean, that was a very good start for our first superstar guest. Very insightful. I feel that it really nailed our podcast title right on the head. Opinions Unqualified. Very unqualified, but also some good advice in there, I think. And I'm sure Nixy agrees with me that there was a lot of things that old, young, middle-aged, everyone could have taken something out of that little conversation that we had with Klein.
Yeah, I think it's that whole saying, out of the mouth of babes. It's just they don't overthink things, and they definitely give you like their true self, which I thought was pretty cool. I'd love to have him back on.
How good was the no fear? I love the he didn't have a fun time on the skateboard the first time, and we pinged him with the question of would he get back on it, and he no fear, he said yeah, and I thought that was awesome, really. Yeah,
it's an instant, yep, let's give it a go, let's try it again. And I think that's the perfect attitude to attack life with. So as a 10-year-old, let's celebrate that, I'd say. Moving on. So we had a little discussion about skating there, and you're an avid skater. I wouldn't say like near professional or anything,
Definitely
but you're definitely an avid skater. You enjoy it. So like I've just got a couple of questions with regard to skating. So how did you get involved in skating to start with?
How do I get involved? Look, I'd probably early days. My brother probably he skated a bit, so I would have seen it. I'm not sure whether I got too involved with it at that time. What really kind of took off my avid skating career was probably about middle of high school. A few of the boys got some longboards, and we really attacked it full on. I was actually quite good, not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but that's probably how it started and how the love for it, I guess, got there.
So I see you a lot on your electronic boards, which is cool, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But like, if you're just on like a standard board, can you do like all the trips? Can you do like kick flips and grinds and all that exciting stuff that I saw in that 1992 game Tony Hawk or whatever?
I wish I could kick flip. It's something I'm trying to do. I can't do it. My tricks probably range from an ollie to a little backside 180, which is just a 180 ollie. That's on a normal skateboard. And then on the longboards, I used to be able to do all the slides and all that kind of stuff, but that's been a while since I've done that, so I doubt I'd be able to do any of those anymore.
So, perfect world scenario. You're in California, you're down Venice Beach, and you can go into, the skate parks that are there, or you could go into like a big pool in a mansion and sort of grind it out like the Dog Days dudes.
Yeah, the little pool sessions.
Yeah, the pool sessions. Yeah.
I mean, when I'm watching skating, and I like to imagine that that's me skating out there when I'm watching the videos of the pros doing it. I really I kind of tend to lean towards the street skating, where kind of allows them to be a little bit more creative in what they're doing and kind of just see an object and just use it as an obstacle.
So imagine that I'm a complete novice and know nothing about it, which should be really easy because I don't. What are the different types of skating? So you mentioned street skating, and obviously you've got the dome stuff like in the pools and stuff, and what are the different types?
Oh, so you're on different types of
Yeah,
skating. You got your street, and then you kind of got your bowls and your
ramps.
That kind of stuff, vert ramps. But to be honest with you, I probably don't know just about as much as you do. I just watch the videos and kind of froth it a little bit and have a good time.
Is Tony Hawk the greatest skater in the history of all skaters of mankind, or is Bam Margera better?
I mean, I wish I was on Jackass, but I'd probably say Tony Hawk. Really, it'd be hard to go against him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. All right, so thanks for sharing your knowledge and experience in skating. So this is a really, really important subject, and I think this is something that's going to carry on for pretty much the entirety of our pod. Is rating. So we're going to rate a lot of things. We're going to rate beers. We're going to rate pubs. We're going to rate whatever we can think of. Yep. We can rate haircuts. There's plenty of them. We'll put them up on the old Facebook. Yeah. But how do we want to rate? And we need to work out what's the perfect number to rate things. So you see a lot of people rating things out of 10, but I don't necessarily buy into 10 being the perfect rating number. So I want your opinion on what we use to rate.
Well, my thoughts on the rating, I think the number, I think depending what we're rating. So if it's a pub, and we rate their food, do we rate their service, outdoor setting, vibe? Is there a good vibe in there? So if we said those 4 things, I'd say 4 is the perfect number. Does that make sense? So 1, yes, they smashed it. 0.5, it's there. It's not bad. And 0, it wasn't there.
So can you rate in points of a number as well? So if we've got 4 as a number, is that too critical, too harsh? It's like 1, 2, 3, or 4? Or is there a 1.5 or a 2.5 or even a 2.7? So how do we differentiate? Because there might be a pub that's got a mad vibe, and then there's another pub that's vibes nearly there, but not just there. And we don't want to not give it a point.
So no 0.5. You want to get somewhere in between the 0.5s.
So do we have a 0.5 or do we have an in-between 0.5s?
I'd have a 0.5. 0.5 is either almost there or potentially, Maybe it's too vague. I'm not sure.
All right. So I think that's actually probably a good question to go out to people with. What is the perfect rating number? And why?
That's true.
So we'd love to know what the perfect rating number. And the other thing that we want to nut out before we start rating things is how do we rate it? Are they 4 pies? Are they 4 stars? Are they $4 bills?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, we could even put our faces on it, really, couldn't we? I don't know whether my editing skills are that good, but we could do Sam and Nixy faces.
Could we blend it together?
I mean, we can just take a photo of you and put my hair on top, and I reckon that will be a good blend.
Yeah, I'll just take the sort of beard off me and keep a mustache.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think we could figure something out. I think.
So maybe like Sir Nixys.
Sir Nixys, yeah. How many Sir Nixys did the pub get? I think that could work. I reckon.
All right, I reckon. So what we need to work out is the perfect amount of Sir Nixys to rate things.
What do you think? We've had my opinion on it. What's your opinion on the Sir Nixys?
Well, my initial thoughts are that we go to 0.5s. I like 6 as a number. I think 6 gives us enough categories as we go into a place. Mm-hmm. So we can always find 6 categories to be rating a certain thing or a certain place on. And then if we got 0.5s in between there, that basically gives us 12 ranking points for each thing that we're rating. I don't feel like 4's enough. I think 5 is just a wanky number.
Yeah.
So I think 6.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I like that.
So we've got a 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, and build up to to a 6. So that's my opinion, but we're happy to take the opinion of others.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're all about, really. I mean, is interacting with you guys. Obviously, we have our ideas, but I mean, it's going to be fueled by you guys, really. I mean, is there anything else that we need to cover on the fact of Nixies and rating things?
I think, just what we need you to do is get onto our Facebook page. That we can put a poll on there. So we'll put a poll on there. Hashtag us.
Yeah.
So hashtag us, and Sam will have those hashtag details because I'm too old to know what will work. But yeah, we'll work it out.
It's opinions unqualified on everything, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Hashtag opinions unqualified.
Or Nixy if you want. You can hashtag Nixy. We can get that trending. But yeah, I mean, can't wait to hear from you guys, and hopefully we get more than one person replying to us. That will be really encouraging for us and our future. All right, Nixy. So you've kind of been asking me this question a while now, and now that we've got a platform that we're allowed to talk about it and discuss it with more people during these times of COVID-19, apparently you've kind of got I don't know whether it's a dilemma or you're in your own head or whatever it is, but you've actually got a very interesting point that you've raised, and I can't wait to hear about it right now.
All right, so obviously the world's in a bit of disarray with COVID-19, and a lot of people are working from home and staying home. So just a shout out to those essential workers, by the way, that are out there sort of keeping the world running. We really appreciate you. But those that are home, so the thing that's been running through my head is underwear decorum, I guess, or underwear rules. We'll go underwear rules. Underwear rules when you're at home working because of COVID-19. So generally, you'd get up when you go into work, you'd have your shower and brush your teeth and do all those wonderful things, and then you put your underwear on before you're putting your clothes on to work. Now, my expectation, and people can tell me if I'm wrong or not, is that now that people aren't sort of leaving the house, they're probably not showering as much to start with.
True.
And then if they're sort of, in their pajamas a lot of the day, or they're just, shoving some shorts on or something, I would suffice to say that there's people not wearing underwear a lot in this period of time. So what I'd love to know is it okay during COVID-19 at home not to be wearing underwear daily?
All right, I'll add my 2 cents to this situation. Me personally, I mean, look, we're gonna get real in this podcast.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no hiding nothing. I sleep in my underwear, so technically, I've always got underwear on, which kind of counteracts your no underwear statement, because I've kind of always got underwear on.
Okay, well that leads me to another question then, because I'm someone that sleeps naked. And that's an image that everyone wants in their head, let me tell you. But for the comfort, for the freedom, and I think you actually have to air yourself out at times. I think closing them bad boys up, for 24 hours a day can't be healthy for them. So, maybe the question isn't if you wear underwear every day, is it should you be wearing underwear 24 hours a day?
There you go. Well, I mean, shower time is a great time. There's no underwear required in the shower.
That's true, yeah.
Sometimes when you go down to the beach or you go over to a mate's house and they've got a pool or something, shout out Nick, and you didn't bring your second pair of underwear to wear after the swimming session, you get that question of, do I wear underwear first to go into the pool and then I have to freeball after, or do I freeball in the water and then I've got my underwear that I was wearing before to wear after the pool?
Yeah, and it depends how close a friend you are as well. You could just not wear anything.
I mean, we've all been there, I guess. If you haven't,
you haven't lived.
Yeah, it's an experience I recommend.
And that's probably another question. We got the whole underwear line at the moment, which is crazy. We could probably have our own underwear line, with Sam and Nixy underwear with our faces on where your bits are. But when you're swimming, because again, this is something my dad said to me when I was a young kid. He said, when you're swimming, you don't wear underwear. You have your shorts, your swimmers on, but you don't actually wear underwear. So you just have your shorts on. So, look, that's another interesting one. So we need this whole underwear line of questions sort of justified by the public, by the masses.
All right, well, I've got another question.
Yep.
You're at your public pool, your local pool. You're not wearing your undies. You're just wearing your boardies. Maybe you've had a good week. Push-ups have gone well, sit-ups have gone well. You might have dropped a kilo or two. Pants, a little bit loose. You go for a dive, and your shorts come off, and you're in a public pool. Is that where underwear could save you?
Definitely could be. The key is if you are going to swim in a public place, which is where you swim most of the time, make sure you have shorts, bathers, swimmers that fit. I think that's an important message there. And if you don't have shorts that fit and you do dive in and they do come off, make sure you're confident with what you're packing.
All right, here's this is actually good. I like this one. What would your strategy be if you are in a crowded pool and your boardies have just fallen off? You're not wearing underwear. What's your strategy?
Am I alone?
No, we are crowded.
I mean, am I with friends that are nearby?
What makes it more challenging? Friends or no friends?
No friends.
No friends. All right, you got no friends then.
No. Well, it depends how far away they've gone. I would probably spot where the bathers have gone.
Yeah.
Then I would do some sort of dolphin whale dive where my butt comes out of the water and everyone could see it, so that there's a little bit of comedic value to it. I'd grab them, I'd put them on, I'd blush, and then I'd hope that there was no one recording.
So you try to get your money's worth, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love it. All right, well,
So expanding on our COVID-19 conversation, there's been a heap of creative ways for people to stay in contact. And us as our group of friends, we've been using Zoom a lot, which is a pretty cool little app. But there's plenty others on the market. So I've used Microsoft Teams with some friends as well, and then obviously the classic Facebook Messenger. But there's obviously different floors to each one. So what other apps have you heard of that people could use to stay in touch when they're sort of isolated or stuck at home?
So one that I've been using with a few of my mates is actually called House Party, which is it's a creative little app that lets you sort of FaceTime with your mates, and then you can kind of play some games while you're on there. So it has quizzes. One thing I don't like, look, this is honest. There's a game called Chips and Dip, and it's a knockoff version of Cards Against Humanity. And it's just, look, I like what they've tried to do, but not a fan of that game mode. Whenever someone puts that game mode on, I actually exit the group chat and return in about 5 minutes when the game's over and done with.
Talking about Games Against Humanity, you had a real sneaky, awesome little site where you can get on and play Cards Against Humanity, which we had a crack at one night, which worked really well. Yeah,
a little Cards Against Humanity online, and it's the XYZZY or some unthinkable combination of letters. But when you do find it and you do work your way around it, it's good fun. You get all the packs, so you don't need to buy the packs. It's all on there for free. I don't know how long it will be on there for, whether it's going to get knocked down soon or whatnot. But we did have a good time on there. It was plenty of laughs while we were on our Zoom call. Talking about Zoom, one thing I like about Zoom, me and my mate the other day were actually on it just by ourselves. And I think we spent about 20 minutes playing around with changing our backgrounds. and seeing who could get the best background. And I think I ended up in the Simpsons lounge room, and that was I think that was my winner personally. I don't know whether you've had any background changes on your Zoom calls.
Yeah, I've tried the Zoom backgrounds, but because there's no wall in my house that I can sort of sit in front of, that's like a plain colour. And it has to sort of be like a greener colour for it to work perfectly, because I've got a bald head. And what I'm finding is, because I've got a big bald head, I try to put a background on it, and the background is actually on my face. So it doesn't look doesn't look great. So I love the feature. For some people, particularly if you've got a lush head of hair, it works really well because it can distinguish that. But with a bald head, I found it doesn't work too well. So
that's an interesting fact there for their developers. They got to create a little better version for bald heads then, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, because we have some work Zooms as well, and there's a few bald people in the office, and we've all tried it, and same thing's happened.
There you go, Zoom. Opinions Unqualified, giving you some unqualified opinions on your little app kind of thing that you got going on there.
But saying that, I think Zoom is the best one that we've tried. So out of trying all of those different apps, you can download it for free. You can use it for 40 minutes with your friends to have a catch up without actually costing you anything at all. So it seems to use a lower bandwidth, so it doesn't stop as much. It's a lot smoother. I found that it's easier to access than something like a Microsoft Teams. And I found I had a messenger call with my family. There was 5 of us on there, and it was just too busy. It kept stopping all the time. So quite streamless. So my advice, my unqualified opinion, is that you go and use Zoom if you want to use something like, if you want to connect with people that are far away. Yeah,
I like that, because just a little bit more on House Party. When I was using House Party, I was actually, because it drained my phone battery super quick, so I had it on charge, and I had never seen this on my phone before, but my phone was getting so hot that I could barely hold it anymore in my hand, and it shut down the app, and the phone was like, we just need to cark it for a minute or two, and let myself cool down, and then turn the phone back on. So I actually couldn't use that app for longer than like an hour. But even just after like 5 minutes, my phone was just cooking.
And that was one of the things. I did some research, because that's what old people do. They do a little bit of research. And, one of the major drawbacks from that House Party was that it uses your phone battery really, really fast. So, and one of the things, I've got it downloaded on my phone as well. Like, anytime anyone's in the bloody house, it bloody sends you a message, and it's just a pain in my ass, to be honest. So I'm sure it's good, but Zoom would be my preference.
Zoom it is.
All right, so we're very, very fortunate that we live in Western Australia. It's a beautiful place. Anyone that hasn't been out here should do it. We will have discussions in the future about places to go and bars and definitely the beaches. Sam knows the beaches like the back of his hand. He's that sort of guy. But just recently, they've lifted the 2-person rule to, you're allowed to meet in small groups of 10 indoors now. So, as an interesting topic, who would be, if you and I had to meet up with a beer, for a beer, who would the 8 other people be that we would invite? So let's go, we're allowed 4 each.
Yeah.
The rules are that they have to be alive. Mm-hmm. But that's basically it.
All right. No travel restrictions.
No travel restrictions.
Right.
They can get here. So if there's, we're having a beer with 8 other people, who are they?
All right. Well, the first person that jumps to my head would have to be Steve Nash. I just love the bloke, really. Seems like a top bloke. Seems like he'd not only be knowledgeable about his basketball, but kind of be pretty interesting to talk about just his life and what he's done. And I mean, I know he's done some stuff with soccer and whatnot. Like, those experiences, I think, be pretty eye-opening. And I mean, I could have a couple beers, I reckon, talking to him.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a big Steve Nash fan, 2-time NBA League MVP. I sort of throws my choice in the bin, I guess, a little bit, because we can't just have the same people from the same sports all the time, because I would have, with everything that's going on with The Last Dance and, the excitement that's, that's happening in the world right now, I thought Dennis Rodman would be a fantastic addition to our 10 beer party. And I think anyone Sorry, 10-person beer party. I think anyone that's had a Carmen Electra in their room hiding while Michael Jordan grabs them from Vegas is worth a conversation. So maybe I will actually go. I'll go with Dennis Rodman. I love Dennis Rodman.
I think it would be a good balance as well, because we got Steve Nash would be at one spectrum of professionalism, and I'd say he would have lived quite a modest life during his NBA career compared to Dennis Rodman taking mid-season trips whenever he wants and
Yep.
colouring his hair and partying it up and whatnot. My next guest would have to be... I might go with someone like J. Cole.
Okay.
Rapper. Why? I don't know. He just seems like a cool guy. Makes some good music. Something different. Never met the bloke before. Haven't really... I don't think he has many like documentary kind of get to know him behind his music kind of stuff out that I've noticed. I think it would be pretty interesting to see what fuels his lyrics, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. He's got a little fire in his belly as well, I think. I think he's got something driving him, which would be interesting to find out about. Well, that sends it to me. I think this guy would be so interesting. So interesting. Barack Obama. I think, he was the president of the United States. He went to college. He smoked doobies on the reg. A bit of a baller. Obviously a super intelligent guy. Seems to be able to relate to a number of different demographics. And then obviously just an interesting take on world politics and what's happening in the world, particularly with the world we're in now. So a couple of beers with Barry would be something pretty interesting, I reckon.
I like that. I think, he definitely would provide a lot of insight to our conversations over a beer. My third guest.
Before you get there, imagine Steve Nash and Barack Obama having a conversation.
And then chucking Dennis Rodman there as well while he's dyeing his hair or something like that.
Yeah, do you reckon J. Cole would get a word in at this point?
I don't know. We might have to put the mic in front of him and just let him rap or something, just have
Here's the entertainment.
background noise or something like that for Dennis Rodman's partying binge.
Yeah.
Anyway, my third guest. It might have to be another singer. Is that allowed? Can I have another singer?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm going to go Jack Johnson.
Oh, he was actually on my list.
Real?
Yeah, real,
So
yeah.
I wanted Jack Johnson because awesome musician, drops bangers. If you haven't listened to Jack Johnson before, I'd highly recommend it. And also, he's a professional surfer. You know,
that's insane.
he was a professional surfer, so he's a very gifted guy. Musician, surfer. If I had to live another life, that sounds like a life that I'd pretty much want to live, to be honest. So getting to talk to him and see how it is would be awesome for me.
Oh, and he's one of the coolest dudes you'll ever see, let's be honest. He seems super chill. His music is there. I'd love that. So I would add into that mix Richard Branson, so the owner of Virgin Airlines as well. Seems fairly eclectic sort of dude. He'd have definitely a lot of opinions. He's lived I reckon would have lived a few lives in his time as well. And I'd imagine, he'd have the hookups, as well when it comes to the after party. So I think Richard Branson would be an exciting addition to our group of beer buddies.
I like that, but how's Virgin doing at the moment? Aren't they done? Is he gonna be in the right mindset when he comes to the beer party?
Yeah, I think he would have set himself up okay. Those guys are quite intelligent and smart. They look after their money.
That's fair. All right. Well, my fourth and last guest. I feel like I need to put a skater in here. People are probably thinking Tony Hawk's right now, but I'm gonna go somewhere else, and I'm gonna mention a guy that I'd be surprised if you knew him. I'd be surprised if anyone knew him. His name's Aaron Cairo. He's got a YouTube channel, runs his own little skate park, and makes his money from teaching people how to skate. And I mean, he probably still is a professional skater. But I do, when I am learning how to skate, he is the man I go to, and he just seems like a real goofy character that would bring some laughs. And I'd love to finally learn how to kickflip after I've had a few beers.
Yeah, so that sounds cool. He seems different. I think we'd learn something from him. It's not someone that I know, and you're 100% right. This is a hard one because I would love to invite, obviously, my wife, but it's beers with the boys, so I won't invite her. I'm going to go with Robert Downey Jr., but the version of Robert Downey Jr. I want is early 20s Robert Downey Jr., which is that mad guy that just went completely crazy and drank lots and did drugs, and he would have been fairly interesting to be around, I reckon.
I'm sure it would be very uplifting.
Yeah. I just think throwing that into the mix with a Dennis Rodman would be, probably a Charlie Sheen could be a good replacement if we couldn't get Robert Downey Jr.
Hopefully they don't take any mid-beer party holidays to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
We should be all right.
Should be all right. But I think that's an interesting bunch of people. Like, Richard Branson, Barack Obama, Steve Nash, Dennis Rodman.
I think, we've got a nice little mix there of people, extroverts, introverts, different types of backgrounds, different stories. I reckon, because I've got a couple people that's still in my head.
Yep.
So I reckon we should get some notable mentions.
Yep.
And the first person that comes to my mind, maybe we'll do one notable mention each, I reckon.
Okay, yep.
My notable mention, Steve-O.
From Jackass. Okay.
Just skates, cool. Has done a lot of dumb stuff, which also always means good experiences, good stories. Think about all those Jackass stories that he'd be able to tell. Obviously, I think he's like 15 years sober now or something like that. So
yeah.
Would give him a water. But yeah, that's my notable mention right there, Steve-O.
Okay, my notable mention would be Eddie Vedder. Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. I think he'd be super interesting. He could talk about, the grunge era up in Seattle, early 90s, the relationships he had, with other huge bands at the time, what drives him creatively, and obviously such a unique voice, and probably, as much as it's thrown out, a bit of a voice of a generation. He's been around for a long period of time and still producing fantastic things. So I think he'd be another one that would be notable for sure.
Awesome, I love it. So I think we've got a pretty good beer party little guest list there for our 8 other people, and a couple of notable mentions that they can be our reserves if someone pulls out, or Dennis Rodman and someone else fly to Las Vegas real quick. We can maybe fly them in. But this is also a good opportunity, I think, to get a little bit of feedback on our socials. If you have any disagreements, I'm sure somehow, some way, we'll get some sort of way of a line of communication. And would love to hear what you guys think about our dinner party guests. Fang it out there if there's someone that you don't like, disagree. Would love to hear it. I don't know about you, Nixy, but...
Yeah, absolutely. And give us your list. Your list of 4 and a notable, and tag a friend that has to pick their 4 as well.
All right, I think that's all the topics that we need to discuss today for this podcast. It's been fun. First podcast, Nixy. How do you feel?
It's been fantastic.
Hopefully you guys have as much fun listening to it as we did having a yarn with each other, which is what we normally do anyway, except we don't have a microphone in front of us. So it's exciting for us. I'm pumped, stoked, ready to continue getting out some more podcasts for you guys, and I'll pass it off to Nixy.
So just get onto our social platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Opinions Unqualified. you'll start to see other content loaded. So please be active, please be involved. Share with your friends, sort of embrace this new movement. We'll call it a movement because that's what most knobs do. We'll get better as these grow. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in to our next. We'll have another special guest whose opinion you probably don't want either. But we'll have one. We'll talk about other subjects that we probably don't care about. Sure.
Take it easy.